Ready for another lesson?
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Back Row Banter, your favorite casual movie talk podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Adam Schwartz. In this week's episode, we'll be talking about the movie Godzilla Minus One. But of course, before we get to any of that, I'm joined today by Nathaniel Gingrich.
What up, folks? I'm Nathaniel.
Boom.
Boom.
Bang.
Do you feel nuclear?
Bop.
I'm nuclear.
Nuclear. Why does that? I am nuclear. Why does that like ring a bell and like a line from a movie or
Because
something?
you're thinking of I Am Inevitable.
Maybe. I don't know. Potentially. How you doing this week, Nathaniel?
I'm chilling, man.
Finished your chemistry class today?
Yeah. Today was speaking of nuclears, today was my last chemistry class, or it was my chemistry final, I should say, for this term. So, yeah. And as I said to the guys in the group chat today, my brain is mush.
Mm-hmm.
It's been 2 or 3 days basically just locked up in the room studying.
Who would have thought Nathaniel's the one locked up in a room studying these days?
Yeah, right.
Big
I know.
big switcheroo there. Wouldn't have guessed that.
I know.
I don't miss it.
Hitting the books.
Also joining us today, it's Tokyo Tai, making his return, I believe. I think you're Tokyo Tai for Tokyo Drift, probably, if I had to guess.
That makes sense.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I don't know if we've done any other ones. Not a lot that we've done set in Tokyo. Weathering with You comes to mind. Your
It's
name.
all right. It's been like one of my dream trips for a while. So someday I will.
That's at the
actually be
top of my
true.
list for sure.
Back Row Adventure.
Yeah. Back road trip to Tokyo.
There you go.
Hey,
Sign me the fuck up.
I'm down. I feel like, how useful would it be to learn Japanese?
Not that useful.
But hear me out.
I mean, as useful as any language.
At least not in
would be.
America.
Yeah, as,
Not
it's
in
like-
America.
But yeah,
as useful as any secondary language.
for
would
sure.
be, you know.
For sure.
Well, Spanish in America, Spanish is your number one secondary language
You would
for
think.
sure. I
Yeah.
think. I mean, obviously, it depends
yeah,
where you're
I
at.
would bet. At least
but-
here, right where we're at in the Chicagoland area.
Well, I guess for me, my in the past few years, the best secondary language would be Polish for me because
Yeah.
the amount of people that come up to me at 305 and go, "You speak Polish?" And I go, "No, sorry." I guess I look very Polish, and Adam is a Polish name, so they just assume. I've had people come up to me before and just start speaking Polish, assuming I speak it, and I have to go, "What? Sorry, I don't speak Polish." And they go, "Oh, okay."
The Caucasian stereotype. You speak Polish?
Yeah."
I've never heard that one, but I can see how that goes around. for sure.
Blonde, Chicagoland area. You
Yeah.
speak Polish.
Yeah, I
Right,
can't
for
blame
sure, I
people
can
for
see
it. I mean, I am part. I got a decent amount of Polish in me, nationality wise, but I do not speak it. But yeah, that'd probably be those two would be my 1 and 2 or 2 and 3, I guess, languages. But I don't know. Japanese seems like a fun language to learn. Maybe I don't think I could ever write it though. The writing and because when I was younger,
It doesn't work. My brain struggles to comprehend it because it's not a
Yeah.
one-to-one relationship.
Not at all. It's a completely different way of like writing.
Yeah.
And growing up in elementary school, my school district got some big grant from China, like some Chinese organization, and they got a big grant. And part of that grant though was everyone would start taking Chinese lessons. So they sent teachers over here. So like in elementary school, they were trying to teach us Chinese. Like way before language was even like a consideration. I don't remember any of it. But I remember trying to write the symbols. I was like, what the hell?
Trying to turn you into communists.
Basically. Install it early, Rounding out the squadron, of course, is big kamikaze BlakeHolder.
A crazy name, but we'll run with it, man.
Yeah. I couldn't think of a B name this week, so I was just like, kamikaze,
For sure.
kind of a cool
For
name.
sure. Crucial part of the film. So I'm
Definitely.
Big bomb.
Big bomb Blake. I mean, you were nuke though.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah, not as
Yeah, that's true.
not as
That's
many
true.
bombs in this one.
It's true as well too. Actually, big breath.
Yeah.
There you
At
go.
least not their.
Bad
Yeah, I
breath.
could have done that for sure.
Blue breath.
Blue breath Blake.
Blue breath. Wow. Big blue breath Blake.
There you go.
That's a hard one.
There we
Glad I
go.
didn't go with that one. Would have butchered it 100%. How you doing though, Blake? How that MK match end? Pre-pod.
Actually, so interesting. I mean, guess not that interesting. Anyone who's been around video games enough. Beat the guy the first time, and he beat me. And we were playing the second time. It's a best of 3, and I'm 99% sure this guy disconnected his internet as I was about to win. So he's just in that class of video gamers. You know, those are the scum of the video
Toxic.
game community. Is this guy?
I haven't done
Yeah.
that since like Halo 3 and 08.
Now, Blake, you're
Dude, maybe you don't play enough fighting games, but
I don't.
that's
I
so
definitely
common
don't.
in fighting games,
I
bro.
believe
It's
it.
unbelievable.
I believe it.
It's so common.
well, you're
What were you saying, Nathaniel?
you're a big Godzilla fan. Is there?
Yeah.
Would you go out for a Godzilla fighting game that was like set like Mortal Kombat style? But it was
They
just
made
Godzilla?
that.
Okay,
on the
so
GameCube.
there, I think we've talked about it on pod
Oh,
before.
Destroy All
but maybe
Monsters.
not. Have you all played the Destroy All Monsters?
I
from,
played it
like,
when I was a kid.
04?
Yeah, I definitely did.
Bro.
That
Me
game
and my
was
cousin
so good.
gamed that shit down, bro, for
Yeah.
years. Like
Yeah.
Thanksgiving, Christmas, all holiday parties. You know what I mean? Me and my cousin just like, all right, man, we're playing this the whole day.
Yeah.
Um,
That game was so good.
I wish that. Yeah, that's like
It's one
that
they
needs
should
to be
bring back.
remastered.
Yeah, right. Where do we
That needs
There's a
to
crowdfund
lot
that?
of games that need to get remastered.
Where do we crowdfund Godzilla Destroy All Monsters, the remake? You suppose you could emulate it
Yeah.
nowadays, probably, right? At, like,
Probably.
Oh, they
1080p.
100% can.
Yeah.
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 Just need somebody with a PC. Adam, you got a PC, right?
Yeah.
Adam, figure that out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's on.
Yeah, man. So how about you allocate some resources to it?
All
I'll
right.
help you. And then
I'll
once you
get
get
on
it,
it.
once you get it rolling,
It's at the
we can
top of my
play it
list.
for sure.
Yeah. Little LAN party. Just Godzilla Destroy Monsters all day. Yeah. Those games though,
Yeah, but I'd be on board for a game though.
I feel like
What
every
were you saying?
time I go back to like older games like that, like I'm just like, oh, nostalgia, like let's play it. It's just never as replayable as it was back then.
Oh, of course not. Yeah,
Yeah.
you were playing it as a
Yeah.
child, but I mean, I can imagine you can probably find clips on that on YouTube of
Mm.
people playing that in today, like today's time,
Probably, yeah. There's definitely
with
people back there.
100,000+ views on it for sure.
Right? Yeah. No, that game was so much fun. If we had like a big monster, because they had the Rampage games. Do you guys ever play the Rampage games?
Yeah, but those were more
Yeah.
like arcadey.
They were
right?
very
like, I don't know if I've
arcadey.
ever played
I think
those on an
Rampage
actual
started as an
console.
arcade game. I played the one on the Wii. That's the one I
okay.
played. I forgot what that one. Rampage Total Destruction
Yeah.
or something like that.
I've only played them at like the arcades when I was
Yeah.
going to like friends' birthdays
Yeah.
and stuff when I was a little kid.
Very
Also turned into a movie though
right.
with The Rock,
The Rock.
who plays the same character in every movie.
Right. Heard that movie was pretty bad, so did not see it.
Yeah, I didn't really. Am I thinking of Rampage? Yeah, that's one with the big monkey, right?
Yeah, it's like
That's
the big
Rampage? Okay, yeah,
silverback
I've seen
gorilla
that.
almost.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does that. There's like a big alligator in there. There's a big wolf.
Yeah,
There's a lot of
yeah.
big animals
Right.
in the
Yep.
Rampage movie, and they fight each other.
Need a Rampage, Godzilla, and King
Okay.
Kong crossover.
No, no,
Yeah, we do.
no.
Bro, Godzilla's smashing that, bro.
You think?
You
Smash
can't
that,
have
bro.
two big monkeys fighting.
Why
Yeah,
not?
I don't even think Rampage beats King Kong. I mean, I guess we'd have to look at some power scaling, but
Well-
from the top of my head, I don't think he's big enough. I think King Kong's way bigger than Rampage, right?
Well, what if they do like a little like team up, and it's like all the Rampage monsters versus Godzilla and all the monsters from that universe, and then King Kong can get, I don't know, someone else. Who is there another King
Oh.
Kong monster that he fights at any point besides Godzilla?
He fights the skull crawlers. Right, in
Yeah,
the first
yeah, right.
uh,
I don't think that'd be enough.
Skull
though.
Island.
I don't know if that'd be enough.
No, something tells me the Godzilla universe would probably wash that.
Yeah, so maybe it's just a Rampage versus Godzilla.
Rampage sucks. Boo.
I'm with Nathaniel. Wait, are you talking about the game or the movie?
I don't know. I'm just making just Godzilla's better.
It's not a great. Yeah, thinking back on it, it really
The
is.
movie does suck, though. I agree for sure.
Yeah, the IP itself is probably the bottom of those three, if I would had to rank them. But
For sure.
speaking of video game news, we did get that Blade reveal this week,
Yeah, I did see that.
which
I did see
you know
that.
we were just talking about single player games. That is very much one I would pick up because that's the developer of Dishonored, one of my favorite single player games. And they've since done. They did a game called Deathloop that was received really well. I never played it, but it was supposed to be very, very good. And then they did a game. Oh wait, no, was that the? I think Arcane did Redfall, or was that the vampire one that came out last year and bombed? Because it was buggy and barely ran.
I think that's what it was.
Yeah, that was
what it was
Arcane,
called.
right?
I don't know.
No, I think it was called Redfall or something like that.
No, I think you talk about the studio.
The studio though, that was the same studio.
I think so.
Yeah, I think so too.
That sounds right.
Yeah. But anyway, the style of those games, I feel like would fit very well with Blade. So I'm very excited. And they in Dishonor, there's like a lot of sword play and melee, and I'm sure they'll do something along those lines, of course. So
Dishonor's fucking so dope.
it is so good. I never finished the second one. I would love to go back and maybe at some point. That's definitely on the list of, like I said last week in post pod, how I'm gonna like at some point just go back and play all the games that I missed. This replaying Dishonored 1 and then going into the second one is definitely one of those games I want to do.
Not bad.
Yeah.
Seen a lot worse.
Enough about video games. Let's talk movies and monsters. Nathaniel, can you give? Let's get in the main review segment here, of course, and if you would be so kind to give us a rundown of how our review segment works.
You would like me to give you a rundown?
I mean, usually we've done 172 episodes now, and that's usually what happens. But if you want someone else to, I think I've done it one time.
I think I did make you do it one time, didn't I?
You ran to the bathroom, and we were like and then you ran to the bathroom at some point, and then someone else gave me like a transition into the main review segment, and I was like, "Oh yeah,
Can't waste this."
Right." And so I was kind of just put on the spot,
It was early days.
No, that was like
It was probably within our first 2 or 3 weeks of doing it. It was really just figuring.
Oh no, that was
pod,
recent.
finding out
That was
feed.
like within
No,
the
I
last
think
6 months.
I think you're mistaken. I think
Okay.
the way the review segment works here on Back Row Banter, when I'm not gaslighting my other co-host, is it's broken down into 2 sections. It's the it is the non-spoiler, and then there's the spoiler section. And in the non-spoiler section, we'll go over the IMDb page of the movie itself, who wrote it, who directed it, who's in it, all of that good stuff. We'll go around the squadron, decide if we would recommend it. It has to be a yes or no. There is no nuance on the internet. And from then on, it'll be spoiler time. I'll play a spoiler noise. And if you don't want to have anything spoiled for you, go ahead and check out there. But if you do want to listen to the rest of the podcast, we'd really appreciate it. Make sure you check the show notes to figure out when the spoilers end so you can listen to the rest of the podcast. But right now, Adam, tell me about Godzilla Minus One.
I'd love to. This, of course, is a new movie, rated PG-13.
Indeed.
And it has a runtime of 2 hours and 4 minutes and an IMDb rating of 8.5 out of 10.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was that high.
I didn't either.
How many people?
15K.
Oh,
Sorry.
15.
Should have added that K on. 15 people all loved it. 15K reviews for that 8.5 rating. Directed and written by Takashi Yamazaki. I was trying to see if I'd seen anything else he'd made. This, of course, is a Japanese foreign film, so I haven't seen a lot of his movies, as you might expect, but maybe I'll go check them out because I do think this movie is pretty well directed, but we'll get into that in a second. Written and directed by Takashi, starring Minami Hamabe. I'm going to go with Hamabe. Ryunosuke, Kamiki, Sakura Ando. Going a little too fast here. Kuranosuke Sasaki.
Nailed it.
Munetaka Aoki. Got that one. I feel pretty good about that one. I feel like that's
what you want to call it?
I think so. That's the
it's
5
basically
main ones.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah. Wait, did I get the doctor? What's the doctor's name?
I think that's the, it would be...
I don't think I got him. Is he Shiro?
No, he's Kenji Noda.
That's Hidetaka Yoshioka. I got there.
I believe it in you.
Yeah,
There you go.
a little tough. I think I'm going to leave that there because I believe that is the main cast there. The IMDb summary reads as follows. Post-war Japan is at its lowest point when a new crisis emerges in the form of a giant monster baptized in the horrific power of the atomic bomb. Ooh. To clarify, post-war Japan, World War II.
Yep.
It's not like any other war that they were involved in. Don't know if they've been involved in much since then.
Well, they were not allowed to.
I was just about to say. They're not allowed to, right? Them in Germany.
Well, Japan's not allowed to have a standing army. I don't know if Germany is.
I thought it was the same thing.
Could be.
I don't know. Could be wrong. Yes. Been a while. Good summary. No,
Sorry.
I knew it. I
Sorry.
said it and
Sorry,
and I just felt it coming. All right. Godzilla, of course, pretty well known by, I would say, nearly everyone. It's one of those IPs that, like, it's just, you know the name. Whether you've seen a movie or not, you just kind of know Godzilla, and you've seen probably enough Godzilla versus Kong advertisements to just at least recognize it there. But Godzilla, a classic franchise. Probably, I saw an article kind of talking about how it's the longevity of Godzilla, how it's kind of stayed relevant. It is, I feel like, one of the oldest IPs we have. I mean, we were just talking, 54 is the original Japanese movie that came out.
Okay.
And since then, I don't know how many iterations.
So 71 years? 70,
Yeah.
69?
I mean, that's up there with, like, the Dracula, that kind of, well, Dracula's a classic story, of course, but in terms of movies and stuff, I have a hard time thinking of like an IP or a character of this sort that's kind of stuck around longer. Frankenstein, but again, also a classic, classic book.
Yeah, I mean, you would have things like Mickey Mouse, obviously,
Sure.
or Popeye or something like that. I guess you would
The
say.
Invisible Man.
Invisible Man, yeah, sure. If you want to go classic book again, or I mean, at this point, you are talking about things like Superman or Batman as well too.
Right.
Like they are. This is kind of in that same time period as a lot of those characters. I think those are more the 30s and 40s, but again, it is kind of that era. And Godzilla itself, I think, is definitely. I can't remember if it was kind of the first, but it was definitely one of the kind of nuclear age films where a lot of times you had these creature features that were giant irradiated beasts that were coming after you at this point. I want to say Godzilla was the start of it. I'm sure there might have been some other one after that, but I think after that you have movies like Them, which had the giant ants, and you had like the Attack of the 50-Foot Creature and all these kind of crazy movies as well too. But Godzilla definitely sticks out as one of those ones with a little more of a message behind it as well too.
What is that message, Nathaniel?
Nuclear war.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's bad.
I mean, it's one of those things that I think is interesting, and America and Hollywood has an interesting relationship in general because it's a story. It's a story where the metaphor is something that we're involved in. Like we are directly responsible in some ways as a part of the story too. So I've always found the relationship between America and the Godzilla franchise very kind of just interesting in general.
It's a little, they kind of clash a little bit.
You don't feel objective. You can't feel objective
Right.
about it in a lot of ways. And I think that's something that's very much at the forefront in this movie. And I think, it pairs interestingly with 2016 Shin Godzilla as well too, which is somewhat of a what is the word I want to use? A recapturing of the
reimagining.
Well, it is a reimagining, but it's also like a recentering of the lens of Godzilla on Japan and kind of like what it means to them, and that actually moves the like kind of core of his origin to a nuclear reactor melting down. So it's very much more similar to the Fukushima disaster that they had with the tsunami afterwards, or the
When
the
does
kind of,
Shin Godzilla take place?
I think it takes place in the year it comes out, which I
Okay.
think is 2016 if I'm not mistaken.
it.
But yeah, it was a really interesting conversation piece in terms of like moving the conversation away from America and kind of recentering it on Japan and having this other kind of nuclear disaster that they could focus on as well too as the source. Whereas this, I think, and we're already into kind of me talking like a humble brag master's degree
No, you're
guy.
good, man. Let it ride.
This is very much a kind of reimagining and a requel. No, a revision, maybe an updated version of that original text.
I like your term
For sure.
recentering.
I'd agree.
Yeah, recentering is a good term for it.
Mm.
In terms of our experience with this movie specifically, we all saw it together, a little Back Row Banter outing. Shout out
It's true.
and happy birthday to Mr. Waz, fan of the pod, who had a birthday outing, and similar
Big
to
fan.
Nathaniel, and big fan, similar to Nathaniel and the Fablemans, rented out a theater at our local AMC, and we were all able to watch it together in a tight knit group. So that was fun for sure. In terms of like background on Godzilla, I definitely have not seen a lot of it. Mainly just, honestly, my Godzilla knowledge kind of starts with Godzilla 2013. That was
2014.
2014.
14.
That was probably the first one I've seen. And then the ones following it that we've done on pod and everything. So yeah, that's really the extent of my knowledge, and then rolled right into this one. So it's not a character that, like I said at the top of this review, it's a character everybody knows, and of course I knew it. But it's not a character I have like a deep background on or a deep connection to in any way. But I don't know if you guys are different on that front.
You want me to go, or
Yeah, I mean-
Blake is our resident Godzilla
That's
expert.
what I was about to say. Is Blake, you seem to be the most informed on it.
Yeah, I'd probably agree with you on that. And I certainly haven't seen every adaptation of Godzilla.
Yeah.
Way too many of those.
Right.
But I would say I've seen a handful of them, played the video games, even seen some of like the animation and stuff they've made behind in cartoons. So pretty big fan. I would say Nathaniel's hit the nail on the head in terms of this is like a reimagination of the like original concept of Godzilla, and more so just being a large monster that's just terrorizing people. You know what I mean? He's not really here for world order and kind of how they've made it like in the American Hollywood version of him, which was pretty interesting to see on film. Yeah, I would say brief thoughts. I liked it a lot. Once you said that IMDb rating was an 8.5, I was like, ooh, that's pretty high. But then
Yeah.
I was like, honestly, I did like this.
Mhm.
So I kind of feel it, man. I'll save a few more thoughts for after spoilers. But yeah, overall, definitely much more grounded in how the Japanese has always had the Godzilla character for the most part. Besides when it got really cheesy into like the 70s, 80s, right, where he's doing like the drop kicks with his tail and stuff like that. But yeah, it was good, man. I liked it a lot.
Ty?
G-Man does whatever the fuck he wants.
You guys are cool? You chill like that, G-Man?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I had a lot of fun with this. I'll, agree with everybody else. I like the fact that this is kind of a reimagining of, what the early stuff was. It's cool that they don't necessarily personify him so much. He is just a big monster, and like Nathaniel said, that's where it started. And it was kind of just about like how he terrorizes people, and it's cool to see the back end of that, where like there is trauma to something like this. That if this were to actually happen, and there are real world problems that would actually go along with it. It's not just big monsters fighting big monsters. There's actual like ground level repercussions. So it makes you buy in a little bit more. It makes you sympathize a little bit more because you realize that you're dealing with humans, not giant monsters. And so it's very cool. It's very grounded in what it is. I love the fact that they don't do too crazy on like the animation style.
Mhm.
So yeah, this is gonna be a cool movie that is gonna probably stand the test of time as well, because it doesn't have some overly stuff done to it. So I'll be excited to go back to this one for sure. But I had a lot of fun with it. Like you guys said, we had a really good setting, and yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah, on that point of the animation, and this is the kind of one of the bigger points of the movie that I kind of want to bring up. It was reported, the wide reporting of the budget of this film was $15 million, which the director, when asked, said, "I wish it was that much," which is just incredible when you watch this movie in terms of just the CGI quality, the set production, costumes, and everything like that. It does not feel like a movie that was under $15 million.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
yeah, and so to that point, I can't give this movie enough credit for looking the way it does, because it looks like it had 4 or 5 times that budget, if not more. So yeah, I really think that almost did a service to the movie where they didn't do anything a little over the top. They kind of stay a little bit more grounded, and to your point, Ty, not personifying Godzilla, having it just be a true terrorizing monster who's just can't really stop him. It was a great way to get back to the form of what Godzilla is, because when you look at this and then you compare it to what we've gotten with King of the Monsters and G versus Kong, we'll take this 10 out of 10 times, or at least something along these lines. I just think it's way more entertaining, and it's much more fun to watch as an actual movie than any of those end up being. So, yeah, I have a lot more I want to say in spoilers, and I feel like I've already said a decent amount about the movie itself. But yeah, I had a great time with it, as everybody else has kind of already stated. I think it's worth the hype. All I saw was amazing things about this movie going into it, so I had pretty high expectations, and they exceeded them. So, and we talk about expectations make or break the movie all the time, and this was one I had high expectations for, and it just cleared them and then some. So that's kind of all you need to know about my thoughts on that, and my recommendation is 100% yes. And try to go see this in theaters. I know I'm going to try to get this episode up tomorrow, but try to go see this in theaters. I think it's theatrical release got extended to the 14th is what I saw last. It may have got extended again, I don't know, but it's limited time in theaters, so if you can go see it. I wasn't able to find an IMAX screening with my dad last night. Oh, I didn't mention this. Saw it twice.
Oh,
ended up seeing it last night actually with my dad, with Papa
okay.
Schwartz. He wanted to see it.
Nice.
And so I was like, might as well. It was good. Had a good time with it.
Did it receive the Papa? Did it receive the Papa?
Oh,
Papa
yes, it
Schwartz
did.
stamp of
Yes, it
approval?
did. I actually have a funny story I want to say right when we get into spoilers. But yeah, I ended up seeing it again last night. Couldn't find an IMAX screening though, so you might be disappointed there. I only saw, when I was looking at Showtime's whatever, I only saw very limited IMAX screenings, but I don't think you need it. As nice as that would be, we saw it in a small theater. It was fine. I saw it in this, a regular theater last night. It was still fine. Like it's going to be better in any theater you can find it than it is going to be if you watch this on a TV at home. So, yeah, highly recommend seeing this in theaters as well. With all that being said, I'm assuming recommend all around, and everyone's gotten their piece
for
in.
sure.
Yeah, I recommend this movie.
Nathaniel, I know you spoke a lot about Godzilla. Did you want to speak any more on the movie itself?
Yeah, I think I really like this movie. If you have seen the original, either the American or the Japanese original, the structure is very similar. There's a lot in terms of kind of the Godzilla story that is kind of reimagined, and and could say it's been brought back around again. I think the movie does a really good and interesting homage to that. I think it has an even better kind of sense of place, because I believe the original movie is also set in the year it came out. I believe it's set in 1954. So it is set in a Japan that has come back in some ways post World War II, whereas this is set almost directly after World War II, and that's its kind of big difference overall. So I think if you are new to the Godzilla franchise, this is a great one to start with. If you are coming back to it after seeing the original or anything like that, you will also enjoy this. So recommend for me as well. And on a other point as well too, I think that $15 million number that's been going around is impressive, no doubt, but it's also like worthy of context in that like this is a movie built and made in Japan, where you're not going to have a Robert Downey Jr. who's coming to your movie and saying you need to pay me $50 million to do this. So and there's also, from what I've also heard as well too, kind of around it, that the effects in this movie do look great. That's also because there's not unions in Japan that, like, you know, you can have people making CGI effects for pennies on the dollar.
Mappa Studios did the CGI here. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm not saying that at all. I truthfully,
because Mappa Studios needs to unionize after how much anime they've been pumping out recently.
I truthfully don't. Yeah, I don't know enough about it, or can, you know, to speak on it academically or educatedly. But I do think that number we've seen going around at 15 million is a little bit deceiving, more than it looks like right from the start as well too. But to your point, this is an incredible looking movie and shows you what you can do when you know, have a good story behind something and also plan your movies ahead of time. So with that being said, let's get into spoilers.
Sounds good. Well, you heard them here, folks. We're gonna go into spoilers. So if you've not seen Godzilla Minus One, go ahead and check the episode description where I've left a timestamp you can jump to, where you'll be taken to our ranking of the movie up upon our Entropy list. Spoiler time, Nathaniel.
It's my Godzilla warning noise.
Oh, you got to play it like 4 times.
Yeah.
It's like, bam, bam.
There you go.
Yeah, now I'm warned.
Shit goes down.
Shit does go down.
You can say that again. What a awesome movie.
So yeah, I'm interested for you as a person that's grown up with Godzilla, always kind of depicted as this righteous force of nature. How did you feel about like having him being like, nah, he's a big monster, comes in and fucks everything up?
For me, he's always been a little bit of anti-hero.
Right.
And this one, he's just clearly villain, and I honestly had way more fun with it. To my point, non-spoilers are actually more Tyler's point that he made, how they don't personify him at all. It did numbers for this movie in terms of just the horror aspect and the terror. Like,
for sure.
Dude, the opening scene, and this is also that story that I wanted to tell about my dad. He as we were kind of debating whether we were going to go or not, we had other things we had to do, but we were debating whether to go or not. He goes, "Is this one of the? Please don't tell me it's one of those movies like we have to wait an hour to see the monster." And I was like, "Oh no, don't." I was just trying not to give anything away. I was like, Don't worry about
that.
Don't worry about that. It's not, promise. Because legitimately 5 minutes into this movie, you see Godzilla, and it's that opening scene is terrifying. My jaw dropped when I was watching that scene in the theater with everybody for that first time. I was just could not believe it. Yeah, just that opening scene was where I knew I was on board for the movie, and it does enough because the movie has some slow points. It's not like Godzilla can be on the screen the whole time. So, but that opening just carried all the momentum it ever needed for any point that I was like, it's slowing down a little bit. It's whatever it is. Like, I was just so sold after that opening scene there. And the fact that they kind of just throughout the movie, you don't see Godzilla unless he's fucking shit up. Like, that's all you need. Like, that's who the character, I feel like that's his best form there. And obviously, as you keep doing iterations of this movie, of course, you're going to want to add more depth to the titular character, even though he's the villain. It's hard to have a core cast carried throughout a few movies where I care about them more than I want to care about Godzilla. I don't know. Obviously, that's going to evolve a little bit to where kind of we've been the past few years. But being able to go back to just something like this, where it's just he's just here to mess up everything, and it was just much more fun that way.
Yeah, I think Godzilla, the rampaging force, has always been more interesting than Godzilla.
Rampage?
Yes, than Godzilla, the keeper of nature or anything like
right.
that. That it does seem kind of toothless now in comparison. Once you kind of have the original recipe Godzilla out there, I think for me the moment that this movie was like it had set up its characters and like in its kind of first act, given us why should we care about them and what are they working towards? What are their goals in life? And then it kind of gave us, okay, well, here's the job that he can find, and he's out there sweeping mines trying to get mines. Because this movie, I don't know if anyone's listening in spoilers, shame on you, but also welcome. He's out there clearing mines, and the moment that they put him in a wooden boat, I was like, oh, this movie, like, it knows what it's doing.
Mm-hmm.
It's written like clockwork. Like, this is setting up our heroes at a detriment, and then they're going to encounter this thing because we already know as the audience what they're going to encounter. We're there to see Godzilla.
Right.
And now you're putting them already at a detriment by putting them in a wooden boat and everything, and that just automatically puts you in a space of, oh, shit. And then it just builds on it from there. And I think it's little details like that in this movie where I was just like immediately like, this guy gets it. This movie understands audience engagement, understands how to get us to care, understands cause and effect, understands tension. We're in for a treat here. And I really feel like this movie's a really good example of how you can have movie or storylines or emotional beats that if you take them out of context or you just break them down to a tweet can be cringy or emotional or cheesy. But in a movie with a packed house with all your buddies around you and the speakers going and the projector, filling up the entire screen, you're bought in. You totally suspend your disbelief. You're there in the theater. And I think the more movies we have like that, the better. And I think this is a great example of it.
Jaws.
Godzilla Jaws. I did turn to Tyler at one point, and I was like, "Oh my god, they're doing Godzilla Jaws."
Was that the first boat scene where Godzilla's swimming after him? And
100%. Yeah,
or anything, and they're just dropping the fucking
bombs,
the mines.
It was actually right
that scene
when
is awesome.
It was right when we saw the boat. It was like wooden boat, like small dinghy. He just turns to me, he goes like, "Oh, they're doing Godzilla Jaws."
Yeah, there was another moment too where I think the Godzilla was either had the bomb blow up or repair it, and he was like repairing himself, and I just like leaned out of my seat and looked over at Blake, and I was like, "You seeing this shit? This is." I was having a great time.
Yeah, it was a good time. I think one of the funnier things that I got out of the movie was, and I think we were all pretty much involved because it was loud and I was laughing rather loud, but they were like plotting Godzilla's course to Tokyo, and the dude has like two wooden triangles, and he just draws like two straight lines from where Godzilla is to like Tokyo, and I'm like, my guy just picked out anywhere on the map. I was like, Godzilla could have been anywhere, and he would have done the same thing as me, like, he's going to Tokyo, and I just fucking died.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was funny for sure.
Oh, there was the other moment when the kid shows up with all the tugboats, and I went to Tyler and I was like, he got the boys.
Yeah.
If there's one thing that gets me on board on a movie, it's one character showing up with the boys. Just a third act.
The cavalry.
Yeah, third act reveal of the cavalry coming in. That's
Avengers Assemble, baby.
It's a favorite.
Dudes started popping out of holes.
I think there's a very strong thematic through line of this movie that is very tied into the national identity of Japan that I feel like I can recognize but do not feel in any way qualified to talk about.
I 100% agree with you because it was something I did want to bring up where I feel like this. Actually, you continue.
No, it's okay. I'm glad you were on there as well too. Just the fact that our main character is a kamikaze pilot, and it's a kamikaze pilot who has shirked his duties and decided that living is more important than dying for country, and kind of how that interacts with both his personal life and his promises made to his family, as well as those left behind after the war, and then even just the messaging of the film itself and kind of Japan's national attitude post-war,
Mm-hmm.
which again I don't know enough or am familiar enough to talk about in a way that I would feel like does justice to obviously a very nuanced topic.
Right.
But I do feel like that theme is very present and very heavy in the movie, in particular with, its choices of who it focuses on in the movie and kind of who it also and kind of where that goes in the film itself, because we're in spoilers, so we could talk about it. There you do have the character of, I think it's Noriko, who is the female character who basically shows up, has a baby that is not hers, that it basically moves into Koichi's life and is in essence living as his wife, and then is the main kind of love interest for the movie itself. And again, all three of them are this kind of emblematic and symbolic vision of what Japan will become after that. And I think, when you're talking about Godzilla, you're talking about this character that is so central to Japan's movies and kind of the stories that it tells in general. Those are definitely elements of the movie that are very present, but maybe we don't get the best understanding of as Americans watching it, and as just your general four dudes watching a movie
Right.
experience. So I do think that is something on there. I don't know what the conversation is, or necessarily what even the main themes and how they apply. But I'd be interested for people to go and find out, or even send me stuff and tell me what those are. So if there's good research or articles out there about Godzilla Minus One, let me know, folks.
Agree 100%. Where I feel like this movie did teach me a lot in terms of like what post World War II Japan looked like. However, I can't speak to how true all these sentiments in the movie are. Seems pretty logical that would be the reactions that happen. Or a kamikaze pilot returning home when you're not supposed to return home as a kamikaze pilot. Like all of that is so interesting and adds a huge, several layers to this movie.
It does immediately give you a point of view with the characters, and a thing that it immediately adds depth, and layers to, like I think you said as well too, where you have a character that immediately into the film we have context for them, and we have a goal that they're working towards, or a problem that they're trying to overcome. And that's just smart filmmaking. Like, it genuinely is.
And you immediately sympathize with them. The war's over pretty much, as they kind of establish. I mean, is this movie set in the opening scene, is that 45 or 46?
Somewhere in there,
around the time the war's over. Everyone knows it. That they're Japan's going to surrender, or already has surrendered, whatever it is. And you're a kamikaze pilot. Dying would just be meaningless at that point.
Right.
So why do that? But then on the other side of that, he comes home, and what's the neighbor's name?
Sumiko?
Yeah, I think that's right. But she comes home and she goes, I was never supposed to see you again. Why are you here?
Right.
My family's dead. Probably obviously this is a long stretch to make that association, but you can't blame her for making it. That your job was to be a kamikaze pilot. You didn't do your job, and we lost the war, and they bombed my city, and my family's gone. And so you just instantly there's conflict there, and you sympathize with both sides, and that all happens within the first 15 minutes of the movie. And so 20 minutes in, we are sympathizing with all the characters on screen, especially your main character. We've set up this interesting surrogate family that I sympathize, or not sympathize might not be the word, but I can like really empathize with and attach myself to. I think the setup of that family and the love story there was not only unique, but it was so effective. Where like when that Ginza, is that the city?
Yeah, Ginza.
When that scene happens and she pushes him into the alley, like, oh my God, dude, my heart was ripped out of my chest.
Sure.
And then later on, especially, they doubled down where he goes, you should have married her. Why didn't you? And he goes, of course I wanted to. I couldn't. Just so effective. Like, I didn't expect to go into a Godzilla movie and be caring this much about a love story almost. Or this much about the characters.
Well, and not even one that was like necessarily the focal point.
It wasn't at all.
Yeah,
I mean, it was a piece of the plot, of course, and the piece of the main character, but the main story of the movie was him on the boat and everything like that. Just kind of like part of the movie, of course, but not a main thread, really, I would say.
No, I think you're all right in that, and I think that's what, like, to sum this movie up, that's what makes this movie important, is the fact that they got people to be invested in the human element of a fucking Godzilla movie, which is the first time I've ever seen that. Every other time, it's just like, I just want to see as much as Godzilla as we can possibly see on the screen. And this is the first time where when Godzilla's not on the screen, I'm like, hey, I'm pretty invested in this. I want to see how this love story plays out. I want to see what happens to the child. I want to see how he's going to fulfill his arc as the kamikaze pilot. So, I mean, yeah, that's stuff, like I said, I've just never seen. And I think a lot of people who are big in this IP are not accustomed to. And I think that was the huge takeaway of why it has so much positivity behind it, or so much positive feedback of like, oh, this is awesome. We should get behind this. So I think that comes down to the actual plot and the human element. I think that comes down to it being a $15 million movie, and it's not something that just Hollywood put its hands on and just completely fucked over. And then, as well as, this is probably the coolest Godzilla we've got on film in a very, very, very long time. So you even to kind of hound in on him outside of the human element. Yeah, I mean, this movie's a fucking horror movie, right? I mean, like, to its core, for sure. I guess Nathaniel said Jaws, or maybe Tyler. Pardon me. One of you said basically Jaws, right? Which I can see that. I mean, from the scene where he's swimming after him and they're in the wooden boat that Nathaniel keeps bringing up.
At least the ocean bit,
like,
pure Jaws.
That's textbook. Yeah, horror.
Even Papa Schwartz turned to me and goes, they're going to need a bigger boat. And I was like, you're right. Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
It's cool, too, because when he's swimming behind the boat and they, like, do a close-up on him, it's lifeless. He's just on a mission. Like, there is no, like, eyebrow movement or, like, some kind of facial gesture. And I guess that just goes back to the personify point, but it's just cool that he's just, like, dead inside. Like, he's just a mindless monster that's just looking to cause havoc.
Yeah, every time you see Godzilla, his eyes are blank, basically.
Like a doll's
His eyes are so creepy in this, too.
Terrifying.
It's so good.
It's so good.
That's what makes it so good. And like, I keep hounding on the lack of the score in that scene as he's chasing him. It's almost just like an entity. It's like a Jaws. It's like a Michael Myers. It's like a,
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, really good. And then even the tension behind that, where they finally let one of the mines go. Our lead character, who's the kamikaze pilot, he ends up shooting the mine that's in Godzilla's mouth, because they find out that bullets are doing no damage.
Yep.
And it fucking blows up half his jaw. And then we find out Godzilla can regenerate. And that was like, that happened, and everyone was just kind of like, oh, how the fuck are they going to kill this guy? Yeah, it was one of those. So I think that's what Nathaniel set up and looked over at me like, I wonder how we're going to get around this. So yeah, man, it was good. That was a really, really good scene. Tension was well. And then not even to hound on the fucking heat ray or his atomic breath, whatever term you want to put on it.
We haven't talked about the atomic breath.
Dude.
That was the coolest atomic breath I've ever seen from Godzilla. It's just how it charges up behind his plates.
Yeah, it's
spikes,
like a
whatever you want to call
cocked
it.
gun, I think.
Yeah.
Brandon called it. He's like, it's like he pulled the hammer back on the 6-shooter or on the Magnum 357.
He's loading it up. Yeah.
So he just loads it up from his tail all the way up to his top dorsal, right? And then it's just like one concentrated beam for like 1 second, and then it's a fucking nuclear explosion.
And I love the fact
that was phenomenal, dude. I didn't expect that at all.
Yeah, I didn't expect it either, but I love that it's like a nuke.
Yeah.
Like, obviously we talked about, or Nathaniel mentioned how Godzilla is essentially just a metaphor for the atomic bombs that hit Japan.
Absolutely.
So the fact that they incorporate that into Godzilla himself, genius. Really like that
for sure.
And the sound effect of it too, where it's just
Quiet
I'm
for
not
a second.
quiet for a second, and then just the loud, like, huge explosion. Really well done there.
Yeah, it's cool that Godzilla is just one of those entities that can be so effective in so many different ways, because we've gotten the monster movie where he's the main character as of recent, and those are effective to a certain group of people. Like, imagine being like a kid and seeing those as your first Godzilla movies,
Right.
like that shit's crazy. And those are just good popcorn movies. Like, yeah, some of them has a ton of plot holes, and in aspects they're kind of dog shit, but they're also really effective in a certain kind of way, and they're not terrible. And then you get something like this where it's just so powerful in an entirely different genre, essentially. And it's still it definitely rivals what we've gotten recently, but that's also coming from our point of view, where we are interested in the film aspect of things. Where the plot goes, how many holes are there, is it believable, do I have the buy-in, and so it's cool that we get something of this magnitude that still carries the name of Godzilla.
Score was great. Godzilla theme. They use it
good.
really late too. They don't really bring it up until I think he's in Ginza. I think it's the first time we hear it. So really well done there. But even just the other score throughout the movie is something I noticed on the second watch last night, where I was like, yeah, man, it sounds great. Musically, just so many pieces coming together to make this movie really effective. Yeah, definitely the most horror Godzilla I've seen. That opening scene that I already talked about, but just will stick with me for a while, I think.
Yeah, and it's cool we get to see a few iterations of Godzilla. I mean, in the beginning, at first I thought we were just gonna go with like the smaller, like T-Rex form. Because I was like, oh, he seems pretty small compared to at least what we've seen in the Hollywood ones over the past few years. Then fast forward, there's a time jump, and then they're in the ocean, and then he's like, oh, this is way more deep sea fish than what I saw back at the war. So he's must be larger, right? So that's kind of how the illusion. And then you see him at his full scale, and you're like, okay, that's the guy I was looking for.
Well, I think he got nuked in between there too, because that's where he they had that Operations Crossroads, and you see him get burned, and I think that's where he kind of gets the regenerative powers and everything too.
For sure. Yep. So yeah, they've got that, as well as that's also a scene in that where you mentioned where he gets burned, where it shows glimpses. It kind of looks like a iteration of like burning Godzilla, which was also in, I think, King of Monsters, I want to say, or was Kong? One of them. You see an iteration of that. So yeah, there's just multiple skins, quote unquote, that you see of Godzilla throughout this film that are all just callbacks to obviously all the literature and the history of the character. So I mean, yeah, overall though, man, this was. I went in with like relatively modern expectations, just from kind of seeing the trailer and things in months past, and I was definitely not let down, I would say, for sure.
Yeah, I would really encourage anyone that has seen and enjoyed this to watch the original 1954 version. Obviously, it's a man in a suit and it's a lot of models, but like there is a lot of genuinely horrific kind of like moments in that movie, a lot of which are shouted out in this one that like sticks with me is the news crew on top of the building that are like filming it as filming it as it's coming
like
in,
fucking live news.
Yeah, and that's also like referenced in the original. That's definitely like almost taken from it in the original. They're on a radio tower, and this one they're on the top of a news building. But like again, it is just. It's one of those things that like if you allow yourself to kind of be swept away in that moment, you totally buy what's happening and seeing what's happening and the terror behind it, and kind of again the metaphor and the message behind it as well too. And then I would also encourage people to check out Shin Godzilla, which is the 2016 one. At least written but also directed by Hideki Anno from Evangelion. And that is again very much a Godzilla as a horror movie, as like a unknowable creature that is completely outside the realm of understanding, as you can imagine from the guy that made Evangelion. Also really cool atomic breath in that one as well too. But yeah.
We good on this one? Anyone else got any big points they want to touch on?
The only other thing was when you guys were talking about the heat blast, his little laser beam. The plates popping up on the back reminded me of like the old toys
for
because
sure.
I remember those being like one of the parts that you can actually adjust or move. And so yeah, that was one of the biggest things for me that when you guys were talking about that, I was like, oh, that's like that actually reminds me of the old toy. So Justin and I had a ton of Godzilla stuff.
I didn't have any Godzilla stuff, so I can't relate to that one.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Yeah, bro, I love that thing. That thing's so dope.
You still got it?
No, Blake's got his up right now.
Oh, Blake, I didn't see it. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
For audio listeners, which is all of our listeners, Blake's holding up his little Godzilla figurine. Where do you keep that, Blake? Is that on the mantelpiece? Is that the centerpiece of the room?
They're all where the TV is. There's an entertainment console.
You say all? You got more than one Godzilla figure?
No, there's only one Godzilla figure, but below that,
like
there's like a Noob Saibot from Mortal Kombat, a Pinhead, a Ghostface, a Xenomorph, Predator, a bunch of shit.
Yeah.
Dope.
That's cool. Blake, you were going to say something before Tyler did.
Might have lost my train of thought. But yeah, overall cool. And I like the fulfilling character arc at the end. Where he finds, and I'm sorry that I can't remember everyone's name just due to ethnic differences. I should probably research that. It's very lazy on my end. But the pilot that they were trying to find originally to help repair the plane.
Tachibana.
Right? So ends up finding him. Thank you. So ends up finding him to repair the plane. And then you see that kind of come full circle, which he kind of foreshadowed because obviously there's a close up on them talking. He's telling them how he's going to the bomb, and then the camera zooms out, and then you can no longer hear the audio. It's distorted, right? It's just for that reason. You assume he's alluding to tell him something that will come back later.
Right.
Long story short, that's the actual ejecto-cedo cuz, as Ty looked at me when he jumped out. That's the first thing I thought of too when he did it. So yeah, next thing you know, so he was able to eject out of there and survive. So then put the bomb right down Godzilla's mouth and blew him up. And we think that may possibly be the end of Godzilla, but I guess we don't know, right?
It's alluded we'll get a Godzilla -2, but who knows?
Oh, for sure.
I'd be down. I guess the last thing I also want to touch on is we talked about the writing of this movie, but also the directing. Same guy, of course, Takashi Yamazaki did both of them, but very well directed as well, which is something I was paying a little bit more attention to last night. But just camera movement throughout the movie, and especially the monster scenes, but that first one in particular, just a lot. I'm a sucker for a good like momentum pan and or a momentum sweep of the camera. And there was like one shot I just remember vividly of like the camera kind of going up to Godzilla, and he comes down on a character, and then it
grabs him and throws him.
He throws him and follows the camera down to where we see more people. It just kind of like just the camera natural movement throughout the scene, and we kind of move progressively, and just kind of the camera follows very well and very smoothly where the action's going. Not easy to pull off, and I think that's something. It's a telltale sign of I feel like of like a really good filmmaker who kind of knows what he's doing, because I think you start out filmmaking, at least especially I did when I did my little bits of production, a lot of cuts and a lot of steady things, and just not a ton of smooth camera movements. And so I think when I'm a sucker for like when you have a director who can just make the camera move and it doesn't even feel like it's moving. One of those. It's a very well directed in that aspect. Yeah, I would love. I kind of want to go watch more of his stuff, dude. But maybe I'll get around to it. All right. Anything else here, gents?
I think that's all I got.
All right. Well, with all that being,
I'm good too.
With all that being said, welcome back to our listeners who skipped over the spoiler segment of the podcast. Shame on you. Go watch this movie. But until you do that, you can hear where we rank it up upon our Entropy list. It's our big list of all the movies we have reviewed compared to one another. It's our rating system, essentially. If you want to check it out for yourself, you can do so by checking the episode description, where it's linked to my Letterboxd. Oh, boy.
Oh, boy.
I've got to sign
Oh,
in.
joy.
Oh, joy.
Blake,
Hey.
Blake, I want to hear your thoughts first and foremost. As our resident Godzilla expert, I want to know where you're ranking this.
I was contemplating this. I usually try not to think ahead, but I was contemplating it when I was driving home after seeing the movie. Like, where do I want to put it?
Mm-hmm.
Immediately, you look at the other 2 Godzilla films we have on there, right? I'm head and shoulders above those. I don't even know where the highest one of that we have.
Would agree with you. We had it's Godzilla versus Kong, which is at 129, and then we had King of the Monsters at 139.
Okay. Gotcha. So yeah, I'm way over those. Then, like I said, it has the horror element. It has human element that had us heavily invested, which is something that's rare in a genre like this. And also one of my favorite IPs. So then started scrolling up to some movies that I liked a lot. Malignant, Barbarian, Prey, right? Another IP that I love a lot. I think I would put this above Prey. So that puts us at the 90 mark. So I think I'm going above that. Honestly, guys, it's tough, but I think I'm gonna go 44.
Ooh, big
Nice,
jump up
nice.
from there. Okay.
44.
Yeah,
Which
I think I'm gonna go
is
44.
Below Northman, above Spirited Away.
Yeah.
It's a good spot, man.
Okay.
Any
yeah,
particular
so it was-
reason for going up there?
Yeah, but I was still scrolling up. I seen Terminator, which I liked a lot. Tokyo Drift, which kind of just like a heartfelt movie for me personally. But that's when I was like, okay, we got that up there off kind of heartfeltness. I can definitely put this above Tokyo Drift. And then the Scream was get above Scream was a tough one as well as American Psycho. But I think ultimately like the really hard cap was like the Kill Bill. To be completely honest with you, right? Where I was like, all right, that's probably another layer of film.
Sure.
In terms of favorites all times and things of that nature. And outside of that, I was like, I think that's kind of the good space for it, man. I mean, I even think sitting here aloud, I might be able to put it above the Northman and actually put it one behind Training Day. So I think I'm actually going to flip that and do 43.
I was gonna say I would think you'd put it above
And
Northman.
as
famously,
famously,
flip that and go
we
43.
all know King Kong ain't got shit on Training Day. So
For
Godzilla.
sure. Training Day, that was a tough plug. I don't think I could do it above Training Day.
If
but yeah,
Godzilla's
that's-
going toe to toe with King Kong, even then he can't step to Training Day.
King
so-
Dong.
King Dong.
Oh man,
That's the porn the porn parody.
Godzilla is no match for Alonzo in Training Day, right?
That's right.
Crooked cop can consume all.
Damn. That's the American Godzilla remake I need. Godzilla versus the Crooked Cops.
Yeah. Yeah, man, that's where I'm shooting. 43.
all right, I like it. Anyone else got their
Yeah, I got
answers
mine.
ready? Shoot it.
I'm not going to be too far lower than Blake, and I will say that Blake did convince me to go a little bit higher than I was thinking. So I am actually going to put this at 50, below Scream and above Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. That is, it was really Nope was the one that I couldn't put it over, and then Scream. I mean, Scream's a classic. Like, you know, what are we gonna do at that point? But I think this movie is a really, really, really good example of the kind of Godzilla subgenre. A great update for it. I just think that's where we're sitting with this guy there. You know, there's a few movies above it. I might put it above if they were going 1-to-1, but I think within the scope of the list, that's where I'm going to put it, 50.
Valid. I'm not too far ahead of you. I want to go high. There's just so many movies that I'm like, I can't put it above that, can't put it above that. And it's going to go above some movies that I would probably
This is also
rank
one,
above
too,
it.
I don't know how this one's going to age. Like, I feel like
Right.
this is one where you could put it on in 6 months from now, and I'll be like, yes, I love this movie. But it's also one I feel like I don't know if I'm going to be seeking out to put it on in 6 months. You know what I mean?
I will say I still enjoyed myself on the second
Oh,
watch.
100%.
Yeah. In theaters, of course. So, like, you know, if I was to put this on my TV, would I feel the same? Maybe not. But Entropy List is a mixture of a lot of feelings, and one of those feelings is a first watch and a theater watch and all of that together.
Sure.
So, I am gonna lock it in, I think, at 48, below John Wick and above Nope.
Gasp.
Yeah. There's some.
You have Jaws
Yeah.
on a boat with Godzilla, and then you have Jaws in a ranch.
Mm.
Nope is
Now
Jaws.
here's the question:
Mm,
do you think the Nope alien can consume the Godzilla we just watched?
There we go.
Ah.
I think Godzilla
Think-
atomic breast that
No
dude
shot.
in one shot.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay,
jean
for
jacket.
sure.
Yeah.
he doesn't like how that cloud's looking at him.
Yeah.
Yeah, 48 for me. John Wick's up. The OG John Wick's kind of
That's your-
hard.
that's your
It's-
tough
It's
one,
a hard
huh?
one for me. Yeah, because
Yeah.
there are several, of course, that are ones I'd probably put this below. Weathering with You and La La Land come to mind. But as
Sure.
Nathaniel said, in the scope of the list, which is getting tougher and tougher to rank on every week.
It is.
Yeah,
It is.
I'm gonna lock it in though at 48.
What are you thinking, Ty?
So I'm like super on the fence. You guys had some really good arguments. I think I have a low point where I'd be, but I also think I have a high point and just kind of like part of me wants to set some things straight with the list.
Ooh.
And because of that, I think this thing deserves to be higher. I think it's gonna be pretty rivaled to like Kill Bill, Spirited Away from like an emotional standpoint, from how I feel about it, and just how much I enjoyed myself. But I do think that both of those movies and this movie are better than like Judas and the Black Messiah, are better than Spider-Man, are better than E2 Mama Tambien, better than Dunkirk,
You hold your tongue.
better than Requiem. And so those that group that I just named, that's really, really hard to not put this above.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna do it because that's what makes me feel happy, and I'm gonna try and bump this thing up a little bit, and I think it deserves to be at 36, just below Starship Troopers. I think this thing will age really well. I think you will find yourself putting it on in like 6 months to a year. When was the last time you watched Kill Bill? Probably when we
He's
did this
cooking.
review for it.
What?
And
He's cooking right now.
so like, same thing with like some of those other movies you guys named off. You don't watch those movies either very often. And
I
feel
watch
like
E2 Mama
this-
Tambien once a year.
And I think that you'll find yourself putting this on. It'd actually be pretty cool to maybe even get this in English dub, because I could find myself like cleaning my house while listening to this instead of, maybe I'll just learn Japanese.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
In the back end too.
Yeah, right.
Or at least
yeah.
learn this movie.
Yeah, 100%. And so yeah, I'm gonna be at 36.
Yeah, those are all valid points, man. And while the group was sitting here ranking, and even when I was just kind of doing a thorough look, I said to myself, is there a world where I put this above Spider-Man No Way Home? And I think it was hard to do because I think that movie's already much higher than it should be.
Sure.
But when I was looking at this and I was like, man, I like this movie way more than Spider-Man No Way Home. And then now that Tyler came out and stood on it, I'm gonna. Now this is crazy.
What's
I'm
hilarious?
about to change my ranking for a second time, fellas.
Unprecedented.
I may be vetoed out of this.
No, go
But
for
I
it, bro.
think I'm
No, you
rocking
can.
with Ty. I gotta put it above Spider-Man No Way Home at the minimum. And yeah.
All right, so where are you putting it?
I'm
Oh,
gonna put it
that's
above there.
36 as well too. Okay.
Well, 36 is Judas. So above or
Yeah.
below Judas?
Honestly,
36 would be above Judas. 37 would be above Spider-Man. Below Judas.
all right, fellas, don't hate me, guys. I'm gonna have to cook this thing to 31.
Oh, Jesus.
Let's go.
I don't
Above
care.
Back to the
I don't
Future.
care for Back to the Future. I don't
No,
care for
go
Starship
for it.
And I don't care for you, Blake.
So like,
done.
yeah, Avatar's good, but yeah, Tyler gave me enough gas where I was like, "Fuck it, man. If that's what we're doing, that's what we're doing."
Hey,
yeah,
I remember I pushed a Knight's Tale up into like the top 10 last week. So I mean,
For
do what
sure.
you want,
I'm
bro.
rolling, bro.
No,
I'm
that's
rolling. I love
cool.
this
I'm
movie.
just messing around. 31. All right, I
I
respect
like it. Blake coming alive, standing on the
31.
ground for Godzilla.
Judas, I would say Judas is like the original one where I was like, ooh, maybe I do want to just bump it that high. But then I was
Mhm.
like, I don't know if I can do that. But
That is the one when we talk about on the Entropy list a lot, where we're just like,
Oh, that's weird.
yeah. I mean, if we're going on that classic, if I woke up in a movie theater and this movie was playing, would I sit around for the next 2 hours and watch the rest of it? There's a lot of movies around there that I would put on before that one.
Like Spider-Man, No Way Home.
Absolutely not. But
No
you
way.
know,
Exactly. See? Yeah, I feel him.
All right.
Dunkirk or Requiem, sure.
Let's reel this back in.
I don't think I'm sitting there for like the next 2.5 hours to watch those movies.
Well, that's because you have a tiny bladder. But
I don't. I'm the one that never
I know
gets
you
up
never
during
do.
movies. I'll never get up. I'll sit in Schneider Cut 4 hours. I won't get the
Boo.
he was raised on Lord of the Rings, folks. He has an ultimate iron
Oh,
bladder.
jeez. Blake's 31. Ty, you were 40.
No, 36.
You were 36, right? 36. Nathaniel, you were.
I'm sticking at 50.
You're sticking at 50, like a lame person. And I was, I was what, 40?
Top third of the list, bro. We're at 172 of these bad boys now. If you told me that a Godzilla movie was cracking the top 50 and at the beginning of the year, I would have called you crazy. But you know,
Here we
times
are.
change.
Here we are. Yeah, I think I kind of want to bump my ranking up, but I don't know if I can. I don't think I will.
Just do it, man. Do it while you can.
Am I allowed? Is
Once
this-
we lock it
Blake
in, it's
did change
locked.
it
You
twice.
feel me?
Yeah, just pick your movie.
Yeah, you
bro.
can do whatever you
I'm
want.
gonna-
Spot.
Until
I
we
want to
lock
put
in.
it above Judas, but I don't know if I want to put it above Spider-Man because I love Spider-Man No Way Home. You guys, I'm the most personal person when it
You
comes to
are.
that movie. I objectively
That's your
realize it's
Spider-Man.
right. Well, Tobey Maguire's my Spider-Man, but he's in the
Yeah.
movie.
No, all three of them are yours. You have to claim them all.
Well,
now.
I am.
What do you think
I
you'll
am
rewatch first? Spider-Man No Way Home or this?
He already
He already
rewatched
rewatched this.
Okay, so that's valid. That's valid. Have you rewatched Spider-Man No Way Home?
I think
since
I
that
did see that in
December
theaters
2021?
twice as well, actually, but I haven't
Okay.
seen it since
Since then,
theaters.
yeah, that's a December 2021 release or something like that. So
Rank
roll
it,
on
come
2
on.
years.
36 below Starship and above Judas.
we go.
Hey,
So that gives us a average ranking of 38.25, meaning we'd have to tie break it with Y Tu Mama Tambien.
Of course.
I'm above. I'm above.
I'm above.
oh man,
Nathaniel?
Nathaniel, do you care to give your opinion?
No, it
I'll
doesn't.
let you
I
do
think
that.
yeah, right.
It's not
No,
gonna
we had
matter.
no one
I will
else
let
answer.
you voice your opinion.
Nathaniel, above or below Y Tu Mama Tambien?
Of course, it's gonna be below E2 Mama Tambien.
We have one for below. Anyone else? Going once?
No, you
Going
don't
twice.
have anybody
Godzilla
else.
is at 38 below Spider-Man No Way Home. After all of that debate, it ends up one below Spider-Man No Way Home and above Y Tu Mama Tambien. What a good spot. Happy.
Yeah, not bad.
Yeah, good spot for it. Was not expecting it to go that high, and I'm so happy it is. What a fun movie.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Ty.
All right.
Started. I lit the beacons of Minas Tirith.
Oh,
And Rohan answered. So let's go.
Yeah.
it's a lot of words there.
Late breaking news here on Back Row Banter. Andre Braugher, unfortunately, star of Brooklyn Nine-Nine, has passed away at 61.
For anyone who doesn't know,
Oh, that's so sad.
he's the what's his captain?
Captain of Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yeah, he's the captain.
Hmm.
Super funny in that show.
That is sad. Yeah, he
Very
is funny
sad.
in that.
Very,
Born in Chicago.
very young too. 61.
Natural causes, heart attack, or what? It doesn't say.
Doesn't say yet here,
Yeah.
really. Yeah, but
Tough.
it is a bummer.
Yeah. Who was watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine recently? Ty, was that you?
I was, yeah.
Yeah. You still watching?
No, I'm pretty sure I finished it.
Oh,
Or
okay.
whatever was on Peacock. I think it was
Peacock,
like
yeah.
6 seasons, 7 seasons, something like that.
They made
But
quite
yeah,
a few of
I
that
finished
show. The show's really good.
Says brief illness, so must
Oh.
not have
Hmm.
been
Okay.
anything.
it. I had a good time with it.
Rest in peace.
But yeah, that's upsetting.
Do we want to do a little what we're watching? We got some time.
Can do.
Sure.
Nathaniel, why don't you kick us off?
Did I talk about Doctor Strangelove last week?
Yes.
Okay, then since then, I watched a movie today that was a recent release on Netflix called May December.
May December,
yes. Stars Julianne Moore, stars Natalie Portman. And it is a movie about an actress played by Natalie Portman who is going to research a couple. The couple is the female lead is Julianne Moore. The male lead is an actor who I don't know, but his name is Charles Melton.
Heard the name.
Yeah, I think he was on like Teen Wolf or something like that,
Okay.
or Riverdale or something like that.
Of course.
But anyways, it's that it's kind of that like take on that story of like the 12 or 13-year-old kid dates his teacher kind of thing. And so now they're like
the Josh Giddey story. I'm sorry.
sure. Now she is like in her 60s, almost 70s, and like he's like 30s, and Natalie Portman is coming in to research her for this role that she is going to play about the movie about their life. So it's a movie within a movie, and and she's like kind of investigating them. Or not investigating, but doing research on them.
Okay.
And it's kind of her interacting with them and kind of understanding her as a character. It's really, really good. It's on Netflix. I would recommend people going to watch it.
This is new?
It is new. Yeah. It came out within the last 2 weeks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's made by a gentleman named Todd Haynes. I don't think you would have seen anything he's done. He did that the Bob Dylan biopic "I'm Not There," where
seen
he's
that.
played by like 5 different
Oh wait,
actors.
no. Oh, biopic? No, I'm sorry. I have not seen that.
Yeah. And Carol.
Thinking of the Bob Dylan documentary from like
Gotcha.
the 50s. I
No,
forgot
yeah,
what
this was from like 2010.
Right.
And Carol
same.
as well too, from a couple years ago with Kate Blanchett and Rooney Mara.
Remember that one? Yeah.
But yeah, I would definitely recommend it. May, December. It is on Netflix. Not going to be for everyone for sure. I think most of the Back Row boys would enjoy it.
What genre would you classify this as?
Ooh.
Is it like thriller? Are you like along those beats, or
So it's definitely like drama, but like
suspense?
a little bit
Yeah,
suspenseful
yeah.
as well too, but like not afraid to like veer into like camp in the way that kind of almost Mike Flanagan-esque, but like even more so. Like if it's like something that's like super heavy, like he'll play this really aggressive like thriller suspense musical sting underneath it, to the point that you as an audience member are like, well, that's over dramatic.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all in the kind of idea of getting you to buy into these certain things or these certain preconceived notions, I guess, that you as a viewer have about this thing. And then he goes, this relationship, the relationship between all three characters. And then he definitely positions the characters so that they kind of interrogate all of those questions as well too. It's a really good movie. Like, I think the thing that it reminds me most of from like the last few years would be like a movie like Tar as well. Or
I never saw that one.
yeah, I mean, both huge recommends, but yeah, I think it's definitely worth a watch. It's on Netflix. Julianne Moore, Natalie Portman, both great. Charlie Melton, I think, delivers an amazing performance in it as well too. It like again, it veers into that kind of horror thriller territory without ever necessarily having horror thriller content. Maybe is how
Okay.
I would like put it overall.
Like a Gone Girl kind of.
Yeah, but like even Gone Girl's more graphic and kind of
Okay.
more like that. This is much more about like it's the tone of maybe a Gone Girl, but like it's not nearly as violent, but
So you're kind of just on edge, but there's no actual reason
because
to
it's
be kind of.
skeezy. Like
Okay.
you're watching these people where you're like, that dude was 12 when you guys
Sure.
were hooking up and everything, and
Right.
like and they're just openly talking about it and kind of like trying to figure it out. And like it's one of those things where she went to prison, but they got married afterwards. So like how do you talk about that and everything? And
That is
it is
interesting.
yeah, it's really interesting. yeah, I really liked it. It's on Netflix. I think if you have a Netflix account, watch it. But I'd recommend you watch it, Adam. I think you'd have an interesting point on it. I'm not sure if it's going to be high on like Blake or Tyler's list, but
okay.
I would recommend it overall.
All right, I'll give it a look.
Give her a looky loo.
A looky loo.
That's really what I got to it. Like I said, I've just been studying.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Tyler, what have you been giving a looky loo?
The only thing of note really is we watched a Carolia film. And she's always stated it's one of her like favorite movies.
Legally Blonde.
No, we
Shin
already
Godzilla.
did that one. No, not that either. But this is like from way back in the day.
Legally
this
Blonde
is like
2.
a childhood favorite movie. I would guess.
Mean
but
Girls.
She's
I'm just gonna
she's
keep-
the man.
Oh,
Hey, that's actually kind of a childhood one for me too. I don't know why. Older brothers. But no, I actually watched that a few times when I was younger.
Yeah, and so
It was one of those ones I was too young for it, but I watched it anyway. It was like one of those
Yeah.
ones I probably shouldn't have been watching. Yeah.
So yeah, that came to Netflix recently, and so we got to that. She was very pleased, and yeah, that was the main thing. Other than that, it's been football and Spartacus still.
I'll never forget the scene in that movie when she sticks a tampon up her nose
Yeah,
to stop a nosebleed. I didn't even know what tampons were at the time, so I just assumed they were for nosebleeds. I believed her.
super young Channing Tatum.
Yes, very young Channing Tatum.
Yeah,
And then she makes up a lie about when she's playing soccer that she can't take off her shirt because she's allergic to the sun.
yeah.
Yeah.
it's a real thing.
Yep.
Sure.
Leah's gonna be very proud that you know this many details, Adam.
Me and Leah, yeah, we can bond over this movie.
I'll let you know.
Yeah. I haven't seen it in a long time.
You're getting brownie points.
All right, bet. Let her know. I need those brownie points.
But that's all I
Packers
got.
win this week? I don't know what happened.
Yeah, we can skip over that.
Oh, okay.
Blake, what you been watching?
Didn't watch much. I think I talked about Fall of the House of Usher last week. I went back and I watched
Did you
the
finish
first
that?
2 episodes of yeah. Did I talk about that last week?
I don't think you did.
all? No. Okay. I did finish Fall of the House of Usher,
Did you like it?
and yes, I did. I liked it a lot.
Oh, maybe we
I
did
liked
talk
it a
about
lot.
this, but yeah, okay.
Yeah, because I think we talked about favorite kills.
yeah, we did. Okay, yeah, we did.
for
I
sure.
remember
Her
now.
being some sort of angel, demon entity, neither good nor evil.
The Raven.
Yeah. Nonetheless, yeah. So I went back. I watched the first 2 episodes of Midnight Mass. I think I'm gonna go back and chug through that.
Oh, okay.
'Cause I started it back when it came out. Was that 2020?
Yeah,
I
somewhere
wanna
in
say
there.
early 2020, something like that. Got about 4 episodes through. Didn't finish. I was like, let me go back and restart it from the jump. Just because now I'm full Flanagan mode right now. So I was like, let me go back and
You're
get
like,
in there.
I need some long dialogue speeches. And I need
For sure. And Midnight Mass is good for that.
Yeah,
To my understanding.
yeah, it is.
So
As soon as Hamish Linklater shows up, though, the priest, he's
Okay.
so good in it, man. I'm telling you.
yeah. Okay. So yeah, I'm ready for that one. So yeah, it's rolling so far. That's what I've watched. I don't think I've gotten anything new. Watched some of the NBA tournament.
My Montana
else did I
Grizzlies
watch?
still keep on rolling in the FCS.
Okay, yep, for sure. I've been watching a ton of football, NFL, FCS football, Division II football, pretty much any football. But yeah, Montana Grizz are still rolling. They're in the semifinals right now. They won last week.
Yep, they got to play.
I think in OT. I caught the end of it in OT.
They
yeah.
did. Yeah, they just got to do. Now they're playing North Dakota, I think.
Yeah, they're playing North Dakota State, which is like a tough feat. North Dakota State is like playing an Alabama, Georgia type of thing, where even if it's a down year, quote unquote, you got to bring your A game.
But they're playing Montana at home, which, as I understand it, the Montana stadium is nuts. Like it's kind of
Yeah, I believe Montana and Montana State definitely, and probably North Dakota State. Those three schools definitely have the best home field advantage in FCS football, like by a landslide.
Is there a reason?
So,
like just
I don't
it's got
know
pretty
any,
good turnout, to be honest with you.
yeah, I
Really
don't know
good
anything
turnout for FCS
about
school.
North Dakota, but according to the guy, my podcast I listen to from Montana, they because there's no professional.
the one podcast in Montana.
That's right. Co-main event podcast. If you want to check it out.
Yeah, we listened to that a little bit.
Chad,
that one time. Yeah.
Yep. Chad Dundas, Ben Folks. But anyways, the because there's no professional sports in Montana,
Of course.
college is like the biggest thing, and the two biggest towns are Bozeman and Missoula. But I guess my Montana Grizzlies, their stadium's built into the side of a mountain.
Oh.
Yeah, it's really pretty.
So
really pretty.
because of that, and because there's like 20,000 people there, it just gets loud as fuck.
Wow.
So like I think it was Durham last week, but then it was Delaware or something like the week before. They were like this.
Yeah, they
is
played Delaware the first
different.
week, and last week they played Furman. I believe.
Yeah, Furman. That's what
really
it was.
cool.
Yeah. So
Montana State, is that one?
no, not Montana State. That's
Sorry.
that's
Those are two
Bozeman.
different
That's the
schools.
Wildcats. Yeah.
Okay.
Fuck the Cats. We're
Oh,
Montana
he's full,
Grizzlies.
yeah, he's
Wait.
full Montana Grizz. Yeah, Nathaniel's invested.
I want to see the stadium.
Yeah, but really good state. But yeah, like I said, definitely Montana State, North Dakota State definitely have the best atmosphere in FCS football, bar none.
Yeah, that
so,
seems
yeah,
like
man,
a
I'm watching
solid
that. They
sized
have a-
stadium. Damn.
Yeah, and they fill it out for sure.
Yeah,
They fill
yeah,
it
it
out.
looks
from
like
what we
it.
understand, they pack it out.
Yeah, so yeah, I would say they definitely got a shot at winning the title. I would say for sure. But big and past North Dakota State is going to be
It's the big one.
no slouch. You know what I mean? Yeah, even though they're the higher ranked team, Montana's good. I think they've only got one loss. I think North Dakota State's lost maybe 2 or 3 times, but yeah, it's one of those where you have to strap up your chin strap. You know what I mean? So we'll see.
This is now an FCS
That's all
football
I've
pod.
got. Yeah, right, for sure. Because that was funny. I remember I watched a Montana game earlier in the year. I think
Yeah.
3 or so. They played Ferris State, who's the best.
That's who it
school in
was.
Division
Yeah.
2. Yeah, so they won back-to-back D2 championships. They lost this year in the second round. But yeah, nonetheless, that was the game. I was like, man, I'm about to watch this game. Then I think Nathaniel was like, yeah, somebody brought that up on a podcast I listened to. And Montana won that game. They did beat Ferris State, and they won by like 3 points. So Ferris State's no slouch either. You know what I mean? They very well had a chance at beating who could be the winner of FCS. So yeah, we'll see how it goes, man. But that's all I've watched. Watch the Bears. Bears are rolling right now, very
Weirdly,
quietly.
right?
Are they 5-8 now?
Very quietly. Yeah, man. We're looking
Oh man.
we're looking good.
Do we even want to make the playoffs? Like I don't know.
I don't think they will. They would have to win out, and I'd be surprised if they went out. But I would say I think they can win 3 of the last 4 the way they're playing,
Yeah.
and that's a win for morale, you know. And we
It
still
is a
got the
win for
Panthers
morale.
pick, so
We do got the Panthers pick. What do you think they're doing with Fields?
oh man, dude, I can talk about that for a long time. What I think they should do, and granted, it's going to depend on how well Fields
Turn him
plays
into
the
a
last
kicker.
4 games. What I would like to see them do is if he plays how he's played the last about 4 or 5 games, if he finishes this stretch, even if they lose all 4, but he plays well, I would like to see them draft Marvin Harrison Jr. with the first pick, and then with their own pick, just take the best player available.
Who's Marvin Harrison Jr.? He's
Probably the top wide receiver.
He's
Wide
a
receiver?
receiver
Ohio
at Ohio
State,
State.
yeah.
Yeah.
And was
His dad played.
I was gonna say
in
was
the
his
NFL as
was his
well.
dad was his dad Marvin Harrison?
It is Hall of Fame receiver. Yeah.
There's
so I would
rumors
like to
though that
see
he's gonna
them
go back for another
do
year
that.
at Ohio State.
No way.
The
No
Ohio
way,
State.
dude.
Gross.
Yeah. So yeah, I would like to see them do that or trade it and maybe trade back to 3 or 4.
How
Get
about
some
they?
capital? You'll
they-
get 2 first-round picks.
Could
You'll
they-
probably lose out on Marvin Harrison, but draft another receiver. Draft Neighbors from LSU.
Could they sign Shohei Ohtani? I'm just saying he would sell some
Now-
T-shirts.
For sure, he would. He would. I don't know if he'd help us win any games. Get some people out there. So yeah, that's my take on the Bears situation, Adam. The last option is drafting a quarterback. If they draft a quarterback, they're fucking insane.
Yeah, I don't know.
There's no way you could draft.
I'm
It's so hit or miss, bro.
50-50 on
Rookie quarterbacks are
it.
So hit or miss.
Yeah, no, you're right.
So hit or miss. And Fields, at the end of the day, he may not be Patrick Mahomes, but he's not fucking Zach Wilson, and he's not terrible. So
Yeah.
you got to live with it,
Yeah.
build around it, and go from there. Because if you draft a quarterback, and what if he turns out to be
Well, and like this is the thing about fucking
Terrible.
football is like unless next year there's a 40% chance he's going to tear an ACL. Like, my brain cannot wrap around football as a sport or a business, man. Like, it just seems like you're just
it's difficult in a
flushing.
business sense.
It feels like you're flushing millions of dollars down the drain every year just on the hope that someone doesn't get injured.
Oh, absolutely.
And everyone lines up on
Every
side.
play. Well, no, that's the other thing is that you just got dudes crashing into each other at every play, man.
I was referencing the Chiefs
KC
controversy.
thing. Yeah, that was a cool play though.
Sore losers. Oh, great play. It does suck that it got ruined by that flag, but at the end of the day, dude was offsides. You got to call it. Deal with it.
That sounds like some haterade right there.
The Chiefs are basically my number 2 team, kind of. I don't like actively root for them, but I like want them to win. You know. So,
because you're a big T Swift.
You know me. Karma is a guy on the Chiefs.
Last week you were talking about, she was the person of the year, so
she's my person of the year for sure.
All right, let's end this thing.
But before we get out of there, but you know who is rolling? Nathaniel. You picked him in fantasy the past few years.
My boy George Kittle.
No, the quarterback you picked in fantasy the past few years.
Oh,
I always bring it up.
My man.
I somehow have
Lamar Jackson. I got him again.
Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, the Ravens are rolling. Your Ravens are rolling.
Yeah,
they might be the best team in the league right now. I have San Francisco.
Cowboys look good too.
Baltimore
and the Dolphins.
Yeah, man.
Price of the bricks going up.
Classic for sure. For sure, classic. Yeah, let's wrap it up.
Yeah. I watched Howl's Moving Castle. It was fun. That maybe I'll say more next
Sub or
week,
dub?
Dub.
Dub. So you got Billy Crystal as the as the fire.
Yeah, it was a fun voice acting.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
And I was looking it up. Josh Hutchinson is Markle.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's
he's
random.
a baby.
Very young.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got to be 12 or younger in that one probably. But yeah, fun movie. It might be my favorite Ghibli, but yeah. I'm gonna let that sit for a little bit, and maybe I'll talk about that more next week. But yeah, let's get on out of here. Folks, please share the podcast. Share with a friend, family member,
a captain,
a kamikaze
also,
pilot.
Shout out to that was maybe my favorite character was the captain of the boat.
Oh, he was good. He was really good. Yeah, share with anyone you can. While you're doing that, follow us on Twitter at Banter Row, on Instagram at Back Row Banter Pod, and our YouTube is just Back Row Banter. Before I go further, we missed on what we're reviewing next week. We did not bring that up. We'll be doing, speaking of Miyazaki, we're going to be doing The Boy and the Heron next week. That's currently in theaters for at least another week, so you have a chance to go see that if you've not already. New Studio Ghibli movie from Miyazaki himself. First one, I don't know in how long.
Since The Wind Rises, which I think was 2017, maybe?
Yeah, that sounds about right. I did read a little bit about this, and it did take him a while to kind of get this one together.
Well, he retired.
He retired, but it's also like a very personal story for him based on his events in his life. So it took him a while to get this one together, but I've seen it already. I'm going to give it a thumbs up for now.
Bit of sizzle.
I would recommend it, and I would highly recommend you see it and join us for our review next week. With that out of the way, BlakeHolder, where can the people find you at, my man?
Letterboxd, BlakeHolder. I'll be on there logging some things, rating them out of 5 stars. Gave Godzilla a favorable rating as expected. And yeah, let's go to Adam.
Hey, you can find me on Twitter at Aish24 and on Letterboxd at Aish. That's AYYSH. I'm determined to get back into Letterboxd. Gonna backlog.
I told you the secret. When you gotta log the movies.
When I'm peeing in the bathroom after the movie?
That's right.
Okay. Yeah, we get out of, what was it? What were we watching?
It was the last one we watched before this. Silent Night, wasn't it?
No. The one before. What movie did we see together? Crap.
No, I don't think it was that.
No, it
Yeah,
wasn't. It was the last one we saw in theaters.
Yeah. What was that?
Oh, this is
Dude, this is gonna drive me insane. Was it a pod movie?
It was, I think.
Was it?
To the Letterboxd.
Well, I didn't log it. You did.
I know. That's why I got it here, man. Don't worry about it.
I always just go to AMC.
Wait, yeah, I was
look
about
at
to say, let me check my
tickets.
AMC app because it was Entourage.
It was Napoleon.
No, thank you. Oh my god. Yeah. No, after Napoleon, me and Nathaniel are in the bathroom and pull up to the urinal, and Nathaniel just goes, "All right, now take out your phone, and this is when you logged Letterboxd." And I was like, "All right, I will make that a habit." But yeah, I'm on Letterboxd at Aish. Nathaniel.
You can find me on Twitter and Letterboxd at @NSGingrich. You can find me on Instagram at NathanielG92. Sandpiper Taste is my other podcast. Someday I'll get back to that. Maybe I'll write a kaiju story or something like it. Maybe,
Ooh.
maybe. Who knows? Who knows what comes next?
Bit
on,
of sizzle.
Yeah, on Sandpiper Tapes.
Bit
But
of
anyways,
Sandpiper.
Tyler, get us out of here.
Twitter, Letterboxd, and Instagram, all Tyler Dallas, VIDALES.
Cool. All right. Well, I think that's going to do it here for episode 172 here at Back Row Banter. Thank you all for joining us for our review of Godzilla Minus One. Hope you guys enjoyed that one as much as we did. Join us for our review of
The Boy and the Heron.
The Boy and the Heron. Thank you. Thank you all for listening. We'll be RB.
Be excellent to each other, everyone. We'll be RB.
Thanks for stopping by. We appreciate everything you do, and keep spreading love, and we will be RB.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for the support. We wouldn't be able to continue the podcast if it wasn't for you. So we greatly appreciate it. And happy holidays. We'll be RB.
America. Ready for another lesson.
Oh, this laptop is so bad.
Is it not also an Apple?
It's an Air.
Meaning?
It's the one that's made for just web browsing,
Oh.
whereas mine's a Pro. And this one's probably like 1 year newer than mine, but still the Pros are, they're just the Pros.
Me and soon we'll just all have a USB chip in the side of our head.
I mean, yeah, eventually. Eventually being like
I was thinking about
next
that.
year.
Can you imagine how many more movies I'd watch if I could have movies projected into my dreams?
I didn't think you were gonna say dreams there.
Yeah, I didn't
but
think you
quite a
would.
bit. What I've always wondered is like, if you guys have seen Sword Art Online,
Oh boy.
what if instead of what if when we sleep we just go to a virtual place, but then our bodies still recover
You're all-
sleep wise? Is that possible?
You're so Matrix pilled and you never even saw it until you were like 23.
Relax. I was like 18.
Yeah, when I first met you, I remember asking, have you seen The Matrix? And you said no.
I had not. Yeah, I had not.
So yeah, like 24.
It was it was a late one for me for sure.
I mean, isn't that
I was
just,
a late bloomer.
it's
terms of The
basically
Matrix.
plot of Don't Worry Darling too, isn't it? More or less, aren't they? No, they're not asleep, are they?
They're not necessarily asleep, but similarly. But yeah, I'm sure you could watch so many more movies, Nathaniel. What I saw recently is a man. I didn't see this myself. I saw someone on the internet doing this. Wearing his Oculus Quest 3 to the gym, and he had a little workout display, and then he also had his TV shows.
Like you saw it in live, or you saw a TikTok of this?
TikTok.
Oh,
Yeah, like I said, I did not see it myself.
Right,
Saw it on
right.
the
Would have been better live.
Would have been great live. And he was like, "Of course, I get weird looks, but honestly, who gives a shit? I'm watching so much television, and while I'm working out, it's great." And honestly,
I feel like that can't be good for your neck long term.
Oh, not at all.
Like,
I don't know how we. Yeah, there are some exercises where I'm like, I can't imagine doing that with like a headset on. Like, what the hell?
How do you
With a
know when
fucking
you're
VR
if
on.
you're doing crunches, like you only get like a third of the way there because you got a 6 foot bored
Right.
duckbill on your face.
I don't know.
Tries to do pull-ups and it just keeps knocking it into the pull-up bar. Lat pull-downs and shit. He's got to go out and around it.
There are some times with my my XM4s. These ones right here.
You work out in those?
I do. Yeah. I actually mainly use these to work out, and I'm not. The earbuds fall on my ear
But
too
do you
much.
not sweat as a human?
I do, but I'm not. I really don't sweat that much when I work out, and my head doesn't get too sweaty. And a lot of the times when I work out, I wear a hat. I haven't as much recently, just because my hat's kind of fallen apart almost.
Yeah.
I've had it for so long.
You switched mostly to visors as well, too. You're trying to bring that back into
Well,
fashion.
it's already back. Everyone knows head coach of the Missouri Tigers, Elia Drinkwitz, is rocking the visor day in, day out.
Sorry, what was that guy's name?
Elia Drinkwitz,
Yeah, that sounds like an LSU head coach.
Missouri, but
Sorry, Missouri. Did you not say LSU? What? Am I just...
Missouri Tigers.
Oh, there we go. I heard Tigers. Maybe that's
Yes.
what it
There's
was.
3 Tigers in
Go
the
Tigers.
SEC: Auburn, Mizzou, LSU.
Man, pick one.
We have the best one, in my opinion. Best colors, black and white, black and yellow.
Yeah, but
That's
see,
true Tigers colors.
LSU's got purple. You automatically lose on that. Purple's just a better color.
Is it?
Yes.
I don't
I
like
will
purple
go on the
'cause
limb and say purple is one of the coolest athletic colors for sure.
I
And orange somehow. You gotta have the right tint of
It's
orange
true.
though.
It's got to be
Like,
Halloween orange. It can't be Denver
Exactly.
Broncos orange.
Exactly.
Clemson, orange and purple.
I thought. Oh no, I'm thinking of Auburn.
Auburn's like burnt orange and blue.
Clemson's
Yeah,
purple
but it's
and
like a
orange.
navy
Clemson
blue,
has
though.
purple in their
Mm.
color
don't know if-
scheme.
I don't
I
know if
never
you
knew
can-
that either until one day I was like, "Oh, who's playing?" And someone said Clemson, and like I think they were either wearing purple helmets or purple something, and I
Some-
was like, "What the hell?"
Some orange.
Some orange, exactly.
See, that just sounds bad.
Now I agree that purple. I mean, my alma mater, the Rolling Meadows Mustangs, purple and gold.
Obviously, what I
But-
think of when I think of a Mustang is purple.
Everyone thinks purple. But I have an issue where I'm kind of colorblind when it comes to like that shade. So like sometimes
Purple or gold?
purple. So sometimes purple and blue, indistinguishable for me. Like
So
there
that
were
would be
times in
you-
high school where I would just be like, "Oh, that's blue." And the Sacramento Kings for the longest time thought they were purple. Nope,
So
they're blue.
you're red colorblind then.
Wait, no, the Sacramento Kings are purple though.
That's what he's saying. He's saying he couldn't see the purple. He could only
Are they
see it
purple
as
or blue? I thought they were blue.
They're purple.
Oh, then
No,
I
they're
was right the whole time. And recently I thought they
yeah,
were.
they're purple, black, and like a silverish.
Yeah.
I thought that was blue.
This is your teams, bro. Light the beam. It's purple.
Well, I always that's the thing is like I've been watching more games and their jerseys they look royal blue to me. I can't. I like legitimately, yeah, like it's a problem. So I'm not as bad as my brothers. My brother Scott is probably the worst in terms of color blindness. It's genetic. Where my mom's dad, my grandpa, he apparently this is a story. I wasn't there to see it. Would sometimes leave the house with like a brown shoe and a black shoe on, like that colorblind. So it got passed down a little bit. I don't think I'm that bad compared to my brothers, but I do have a little bit of that going on. But yeah. So where did this start?
I don't know.
Purple.
Purple.
Oh, that's why I can't like purple in terms of sports colors. I can
'Cause
agree
you can't
that
see it.
I can see it. It's just sometimes it looks blue, and then I get confused, and then I am reminded that I'm at a disadvantage.
Oh, you
in
have
life.
self-confidence issues is what it sounds like.
That's just the tip of my self-confidence issues, Nathaniel. That's just where they start.
I think it's time you pull yourself up by your bootstraps and
Yeah.
start, seeing purple.
Rub
for
some
what it
dirt in
really
your
is.
eyes, you piece of shit.
Start taking a good look
Rub
out
some
there.
Shit in your eyes, you piece of dirt.
See some purple.